why are y'all making me make this video? I didn't want to make this video today. I have other things to do, but this shouldn't take long, so I should still be able to get that stuff done. But why is it that software engineers can't wrap their head around how AI is implemented in the software engineering workflow? It's like it's either all or nothing. It's either AI, you have nothing to worry about, or AI is going to replace all programmers one-to-one and everybody will be out of a job. Why is it not something in between? And what's funny is I made a video yesterday about vibe coding and drawing parallels between vibe coding and AI and Peter Parker using the suit that Iron Man gave him. I thought it was an awesome analogy and an awesome video. Highly recommend it. But people think I'm on the side of like anti-AI. And I am in regards to like if AI fell off a cliff, I think the future will be better. But I'm not in terms of don't ever use AI as a software engineer. I said this in this video, in that video, but there's a lot of comments I guess just didn't watch the video, or I don't know. I don't know how people come to their conclusions when I have a full context in the video, but then they say the exact thing that agrees with me, but in a way that's trying to disagree with me. I don't understand. But let me explain with more detail and more context. How I think AI affects software engineering jobs is how it's doing it today, but on a larger scale. So there was actually something that was tweeted out by the Anthropic CEO right here. In the next 3 to 6 months, AI is writing 90% of the code. And in 12 months, nearly all code may be generated by AI. And a lot of people are thinking, here's another AI is going to take your job thing. And have you seen what AI can do today? Like, it's not the best coder. It can do this and do that. But that's if I had to assume, and that's what I did in my tweet, which I accidentally retweeted Prime when I was like looking at this when I meant to retweet this. That's besides the point. But I said, one, he sells AI, so he has to talk like this about it, because if he's going to say like, oh no, AI is not going to get any better, that's not very good for shareholders or anything like that. It's probably not even what he believes. Not that he doesn't believe what he's currently saying, but not believing that AI will not make any more progress. I think we all can acknowledge that AI is going to continue making more and more progress, considering the fact, and I feel like people don't acknowledge this for some reason, the 7 or 8 richest companies in the entire world are throwing billions of dollars at AI and AI research, and not to mention all of the derivatives of these AIs that are throwing hundreds of millions and more billions of dollars in it collectively. Like, why do we think that AI is not going to get any better than it is right now? Of course it is. People just think it's going to be asymptotic. I've played with that theory, and it's can't tell the future. It's a potential, but I just still feel the same as I did 2 years ago when I made the video about coding won't exist in 5 years. You might be right. I'll talk about that in a second after I finish reading this. But what I was going to say is, two, about the Anthropic CEO making that claim about, 90% of code will be written by AI in 3 to 6 months. And if I were to assume what he meant, it is that programmers using AI will write that code, not AI alone. It's not going to be a one-to-one replacement in 3 to 6 months or in 12 months where it's 100%. It's going to be like right now, how often are programmers utilizing anything from autocomplete to agents prompting to help them write code? Probably a good amount of the code is written that way already, particularly with autocomplete, because actually what I said right here is the 2024 Stack Overflow Developer Survey. Out of all professional developers that took this, responses 46,000 right here, as you can see, say, no, I don't use AI and I don't plan to use AI in my work. Whereas the remaining 76.6% right here says, yes, I use AI, or no, but I do plan to soon. So I think, 3 to 6 months, I don't know about timelines, but I don't think it is a wild thing to say that 90% of all code written will be written by AI. It's just that people aren't understanding what I think he meant, or what actually is true. I don't even care what he means at this point. What is true is not that AI is going to replace one-to-one in the next 3 to 6 months or 12 months. It's that developers are using AI. Because here's the thing, particularly with autocomplete on larger code bases, because trying to prompt in a larger code base is a little bit more difficult right now. Maybe it'll get better. Windsurf is probably the best that I've used, where you can prompt in a larger code base and it can actually get context, and it's more right than the alternatives that I've tried, but I haven't tried everything. But here's the thing. If you know how to code and understand what to write, if you start writing that code and you get an autocomplete suggestion, you can tell, right? Like within a split second, whether or not that's the code you intended to write. And then if it is, you just hit tab and move on. If it's not, you keep typing and maybe the autocomplete suggestion will get it right next time. That's not you writing the code. That would go into the 90% of all code written is written by AI because you didn't write the code. You wrote like the first few words or maybe the first line, and then it gave you a code snippet that's 3 lines, 5 lines, 10 lines long. Well, guess what? If you write 1 line and the entire code block right there is 10 lines, you wrote 10%, it wrote 90%, the AI. And I did say this. I did say that's how I see the claim of AI writing the code, not AI doing everything itself from Jira ticket to PR, but having programmer use AI as their coding in the 3 to 6 months or 12 months timeline. The Jira ticket to PR, I laid out completely in the coding won't exist in 5 years, you might be right video from literally 2 years ago, sometime in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, where that's kind of what I said. I drew comparisons to how automation was affecting other industries or had affected other industries in the past. And I think understanding history is going to be your best opportunity for being able to predict the future. And if we see how automation has affected other industries, like right now I'm looking out at a farm, cropland, and how many people would it take to farm that 100 years ago, 150 years ago, before the advent of tractors? Yeah, the first gasoline-powered tractor was invented in 1892. Right now it's 2025. So before then, you would use oxen and things of that nature to plant. And how many acres could you get done in a day? 1 acre, 5 acres, 10 acres? Well, guess what? They can get done 100 acres in less than an hour. I meant to say 100 acres in less than a day, not less than an hour, just to be very conservative in the estimate. But I mean, there are tractors that can cover, depending on what it's doing. If it's tilling, it's going to take longer. If it's planting, okay, that's quicker than that. If it's spraying, say what you want about spraying, whatever, it can cover 20, 30, 50 acres per hour, if not more for some of these machines, but that realm is the average. Imagine that with some oxen. It ain't gonna happen. And to segue into what I was saying before, these tractors are getting all of this done with just one guy sitting in a tractor, which, by the way, that tractor already has autopilot. The guy's just sitting in there to make sure that it doesn't run over anything. But back to vibe coding, because that's what the Spider-Man analogy video was all about. And I got a couple comments on that video disagreeing with me, which is perfectly fine. I didn't think this was going to be what it really shows, not people disagreeing with me, but how they're explaining why they're disagreeing with me, shows the lack of understanding of how AI fits into the workplace or will over the next 5 to 10 years. And just to be clear, I do think in the next 5 to 10 years that AI will be able to iterate through a Jira ticket all the way, create its own branch, to write the tests, make sure it works with the larger code base, and then submit a PR for that. But here's the thing, is that who is writing that Jira ticket or prompting it? If you don't think it's going to be little 3-hour tasks and it can be like an entire sprint that can be done in one detailed prompt, somebody's still writing that prompt in 10 years from now. Maybe it's simplified into just a single sentence because AI is just that good, but there's still going to be somebody between the client and the software. Just like today, you can build a website in like a single prompt, but yet companies still pay thousands of dollars for custom websites that just display pictures and text. Why? Because they don't have time to do this. I'm literally repeating everything that I said in that video, so I apologize for that if you've watched that video, but it's just a little frustrating, the misunderstandings. But here's one of the comments here on the this video. Vibe coders need to learn from Spider-Man, which I may change the title, but you never know. Dude, I'm 25 years into software engineering and vibe coding is simply amazing. You're missing the point. You can't say I'm missing the point when you missed the point of my entire video. Instead of shooting down a paradigm, you should be exploring it. I didn't shoot it down. Stop assuming all vibe coding is done by juniors. Don't you think that's a little pretentious? I did not assume all vibe coding is done by juniors. I said this in the video. You're thinking linearly, you need to think scaling. Vibe coding is agentic coding level 1. And I literally said this. I said this in the video. I'm just repeating myself in a comment. I do love responding to the comments in the first 24 hours. Beyond that, you get way too trolly. First 24 hours, it's an enjoyable conversation for the most part. This guy is a bit condescending because, as you can see here, I don't even see any gray in your hair. And then here, software engineers are having an identity crisis. It's hilarious. Like, this comment is trying to indicate that because I'm not old, I don't have enough experience to have an opinion on AI and software engineering. And if you don't see that through this comment, I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty obvious. And maybe me saying that is a little pretentious, but I'll take it. But what I said, and again, in the video and also again in the comment, is you are not who I'm addressing. I'm addressing the juniors specifically, and those less knowledgeable than them. You using it, given you know how to code and understand what it's doing, is how it should be used. But imagine having absolutely no idea how coding works, or at most very little, but with hopes to become a software engineer one day. You would never learn if you're relying on AI the way many folks are. That's what I said. And I don't think this was the best rebuttal. I think a better rebuttal would be more like, okay, why would you want to be a software engineer where in 10 years, software engineers aren't even going to exist? See, my dog is upset that software engineering is not going to exist in 10 years. Anyway, but that's the rebuttal. What's the point of understanding how code works when like AI is going to get so good that you don't really need to understand the code at all, because AI will be able to iterate through it and fix all the bugs and do all of this, which is the most optimistic outlook on AI, which, okay, fair enough. I mean, what did I just say? Companies are pouring billions of dollars in this every single year. So if that's the case, if that's the outlook that people have, then why are you building things to begin with? Why are you building whatever SaaS you're building or whatever software you're building or app you're building? Why are you doing that in the first place if anybody will be able to just do a simple prompt and it whips up an entire application that they can use themselves and don't have to pay you? If it's that easy, if it's going to be that easy, that is, why are you in software at all? See, I don't think that's a good argument that I made myself. I understand that. But people are saying, that's kind of what people are expecting. If you're not expecting that, if you're not thinking that software engineering itself won't exist at all, like this is the insinuation made by a lot of these comments and viewpoints, whether or not they realize it. Because a lot of people they're half-baked ideas. And you can tell a lot of people haven't really thought of AI and how it actually fits into the workflow in the workplace. It upsets me because people who have such strong opinions oftentimes don't have the knowledge to back it up. And I remember saying one time, and I actually really liked what I said. What did I say? I hate when ignorance parades as intelligence. And that's what a lot of what is happening here. Ooh, this is a good comment right here. How will you qualify who is better? Hold on. How will you qualify who is a better vibe coder for the job you are hiring? Are you saying companies that are not going to see and hire programmers as juniors and seniors? Your take is not good. And this is very similar to what I said somewhere. Yes, I said this. Out of context, you can see the full comment right here for full context. But I said, if or when software engineering job availability dwindles, who's going to get the remaining jobs? So just the simple prompters, if you will. Again, whoever is going to be between the client and the software, because there is going to be somebody between there. Who would you rather want there? Those that understand the AI and the code base deeply, or those who only understand the AI? I'm going to have to say the former, and that's the point. And this person said, I don't have to worry about either because I'm not skilled enough anyway. But here's the thing, is that a lot of these people are arguing you don't have to be skilled, because in 10 years, all you're going to have to do is prompt. I don't think it'll be that easy. You see a lot of one-shotting things today, but it's not one-shotting insane code, but like little physics things. It is doing some UI stuff, but if you've used it, and if you tried to use it in some sort of like enterprise software or any app that's larger than what took somebody a day or two or even a week to whip up, you see the current limits. And I don't want to talk about the current limits as if these are going to be the limits 10 years from now, because I hate when people do that. Those were most of the comments on that video a few years ago. This one right here, coding won't exist in 5 years, you might be right, which I keep addressing because I got a lot of backlash about that, but yet now so many people are parroting the same exact thing that I said there now 2 years later because it's a little bit more obvious to see. But I don't see any of them coming back and apologizing for crapping on me during that video, even though they're saying the same thing that I said 2 years ago. Anyway, this is just me saying I told you so about some of these things. I don't even know what I was talking about. Just how like in 10 years from now, they think it's just going to be like a little simple prompt that creates a giant application. And I don't think that's the case. And if it is, then like I just said before, why are you in the industry at all? But when you like really start to dive into that rabbit hole of like, of all of that, it kind of falls apart. Like what are the frameworks and languages and things that you're using? Are all of those being maintained and grown by AI as well? It's just an infinite AI loop. If that's the case, then where's the value in it? Or are you saying that there's not going to be any value in it? See, there's a lot of holes in a lot of these arguments. And here's the fella again. Software engineers are having an identity crisis. It's hilarious. This sounds like network engineers before it dawned on them cloud was coming for their jobs. Network technician, senior network engineer. But cloud's been around for how long? The term cloud was widely used in 2006 when Amazon launched AWS with EC2. That is 19 years ago. And that's just when the term was coined. And then also guess what? Cloud engineer job. Senior cloud engineer, bioinformatics cloud engineer, DevOps, principal engineer, enterprise cloud and special projects. Why is this an argument when network engineers and now cloud engineers are still around? That doesn't make any sense. But this is a beautiful comment as to a lot of people's misunderstanding of something and thinking that AI can do that something. And that is, okay, but what AI did you use for your script for this video? Remember, this is the Vibe Coder Spider-Man video. Obviously, I didn't. And it's very obvious to somebody who's made videos for... I've made it for 9 years, but even somebody who has 1 to 2 years of experience making videos every single day, from idea to script to recording to editing to all of that, it's easy to tell if a script was done by AI or if it was not. And I guess you don't even have to have made videos. It's pretty dang easy to tell. Like this video right here. Do you expect, or is there any part of you that thinks that this video was made by AI? Or not even made by AI, but the script was made by AI? Probably not. If you do, let me know what AI you're using. But it is painfully obvious in many instances when an AI has been used to write the script. And other times you can easily tell that there was no AI involvement at all in the script. It's just the lack of understanding, whether this is pretentious or not, the lack of understanding of how videos are made. And I don't know, this could be a joke. It's perfectly fine if it's a joke, but it's a very good way to sum up people's lack of understanding for a topic and thinking AI can do that topic, and tying that idea from the video script AI analogy to coding. And then I just love this comment. I couldn't disagree more. I said, explain, because this doesn't really add anything to the conversation. Like these do. Like this guy, even though he's very condescending in other comments, like, hey, you don't have any gray hair, so you don't know what you're talking about. But at least he had some substance and kind of expressed his actual opinion and then responded to my comment. I think this is a better take right here. On the plus side, the more vibe code that makes it to production will result in improved job security for those of us who have an idea of what we're doing. This is without a doubt true in the short term. But let me think about it in the long term. Like in the long term, if this is not true, then what we are thinking is that vibe coders, so just prompters, effectively will not have to look at the code at all. Like at all. Like that is what people are thinking it is all leading to. And it could be the case. It could be the case, but there's always going to be a need for developers or software architects or whatever DevOps, what have you, glorified QA folks. You can come up with whatever name you want. There's going to be somebody that needs to be in control of the AI writing the software. Simple as that. And then you have instances like this one. It's a funny thing. I work at one of the big tech firms and we're not even allowed to use AI. In fact, there's a strict policy prohibiting the use of AI tools. I assume, actually, what I said was that's tough, but I do understand the security risk. AI autocomplete and occasional prompting is super nice. And that's why I said that's tough. I guess I kind of structured this sentence out of order. But that is what some people also like to point to is like, well, you know, there's always going to be that type of coding that will need actual coders because it can't be done by AI or because the security is too high for AI. But I'm trying to address everything regarding AI and software engineering and the current and the future and all of that right in this video, so I never have to do it again, but I know I will. And that is AI models being open sourced, and the cost of the hardware in order to do it is coming down. So at some point, it's going to be like some are already doing this, running local AI models on your own servers, on your own hardware, so that you don't have any data being stored or transferred to other servers. So while the security risk is there right now, and only like the really, really rich companies, the companies with a lot of money, can now have local models running and run all of their code through that, that'll be more and more accessible to where basically any company will be able to do that. And because of doing that, won't have to worry about the, crazy security risk. So I don't know if I'm repeating myself at this point. I don't even remember what I said. It's been like 30 minutes. I'll probably chop this video down. But to really like recap all of this so that my thoughts are very clear and I can just point people to this video, is that I am not one of the people who's saying, oh, AI replacing programmer jobs, that's a joke. No, it's already happening in the form of being able to be a more efficient developer. For developers, working 25% more efficiently with the use of AI is replacing the 5th developer's job. And as that increases, a development team of 2 will be able to do the job of 5 or 10. Again, this is assuming that AI continues to improve and get to that point, which I think it will. But those 2 developers, I would rather hire 2 that actually understand how code works in the code base. So if or when something goes wrong, I don't have to hire somebody else to come in and audit every single time something goes wrong. That could also be another business model where you just get 2 prompters these are your developers. And then if it gets to a point where something goes wrong only like a couple times a year, then you can bring in somebody who actually knows what they're doing within the code base and fix it. So that's a possibility as well. Do I think that in 10 years, it'll get to a point that it is just completely simple prompts that'll iterate over and over and over and over to build out this huge enterprise application or big web app or the next $1 billion app? Which again, I say $1 billion app just because typically they're more complex. It's not just the software or the app that makes something worth $1 billion. Just wanted to clear the air on that one, but just something that is gnarly, an app that is gnarly. That's a fascinating question. I don't know. I just don't know. So I guess my entire video is just a moot point if that in fact does happen, because then vibe coders would be able to just do that, and then we just basically don't have any access to the code base. The translation between like assembly or binary to what we currently have as a programming language at that point would just be straight to plain English. And if anybody can speak plain English, and what you do in plain English, as long as you're prompting exactly what you want, can be exactly what the computer needs. Just like right now, if you can code exactly what you want in the correct way with the correct syntax, is exactly what the computer needs. But if you can do it all in plain English, then you won't need that extra abstraction layer of programming languages. Did I just change my mind at the end of this video? No, I don't think I did. No, of course not. Because I'm talking about vibe coding right now. And I'm talking about within the next 5 to 10 years of vibe coding. Like you just won't understand enough to be able to go get a job. Oh yeah, so again, I said this earlier in the video, then there won't be any point for you to get paid a bunch of money if all it is plain English, because anybody would be able to do that. But that is only if you think that LLMs will get so freaking good that you can do anything with basically any plain English. I gotta add this in here after the fact, and you can read this comment if you want, but it is in response to that and what we were actually just discussing, and that is, I have very, very similar thoughts on AI's potentials, that it'll get a whole lot better than it is today. But I wouldn't say it will be 100% capable, because up here it says AI is and 100% will become capable of doing, understanding, revising, acting, and resolving just basically all code. And I made the caveat, even though the richest companies in the world are throwing billions at AI. Because what this means is that programming languages completely disappear, and it's just straight plain English, or whatever language, converting to machine code, which I think I said in this video already. There would be no use for the added abstraction layer of a programming language or a code base. So the code base would just be a text file explaining what the app does, or something like that. Whereas the app with this text file code base was built with and is being edited from just plain text. And that's the insinuation people make when saying understanding the code base will become obsolete, which if that happens, software will become obsolete, because why would I pay QuickBooks $100 per month? Why would I pay it that when I could just tell the AI, build me a QuickBooks or any other software for that matter? Because again, that's the insinuation of saying you don't have to understand a code base, is that there won't be any code and everything will just be simple plain text. So why would this not be a scenario? I could just have QuickBooks app on my computer and not pay $100 a month. I think AI will get really good, much better than what it is today, but not that good. That being how I described it right here. But at the same time, if you were to ask me 4 years ago about what like VO can do, or Lovable can do, or what is the other one, Bolt can do, or even just what Windsurf and Cursor can do, I'd probably say no. But if I heard this, it would sound more realistic. Oh yeah, so it can, generate code that does what you need for the most part in like small code snippets. It's not always right. You got to debug this. It can hallucinate and things of that nature. Like that would be more realistic if you told me. But since you're telling me now, like a lot of people's viewpoints are you're just be able to prompt and basically this is the conclusion I've come to for people saying you won't need to understand code and code bases, is that you just understand everything in plain English, and it is just pure prompting, which again diminishes the value prop. But that is less believable to say that there's never going to be an issue with the code base that is generated by AI in 5 to 10 years from now. But who knows? And if there is an issue, maybe you will get an auditor who actually knows what they're doing. But how are they going to keep up with their skills? Are they just going to be diving into code bases all the time and use AI? Like, you see what I'm saying here? The more senior devs use AI instead of relying on their skills and sharpening their skills and maintaining their skills, they're going to lose those skills. There are going to be some things that are like riding a bike, but what happens if you stop going to the gym like you normally go to the gym? You start to lose the muscle. That's what happens with anything from mental to physical. You start to lose that muscle. So who's going to be the auditor? How's this going to work? I don't know. Let's end this on a different note than AI. This person said Tom Holland's Spider-Man not even in the top 10 Spider-Mans. You're just wrong. Thanks for being subscribed publicly for 3 years. But how dare you say that? Okay, goodbye.